Welcome into Shaping Reality with Penny Kelly. I had to look down at the calendar, you guys, to remember what month it is. It's April 2026. How are y'all doing today? We're here with Penny Kelly. We're going to be talking about this month's look-see. We got lots and lots of topics, but how are you doing first, Penny?
I'm doing well, in spite of everything, and I'm feeling better. Last month, or
So
I
you
guess
got that infection cleared up?
yeah, most of it. Although today, when I went to comb my hair, just before we came on, I noticed that my cheeks and my nose were bright red, and I thought, what is that? And no blush or that kind of thing. And so I don't usually have rosy cheeks at all, but man, I was just bright red. So I hope it's a good sign.
Yeah.
Good, getting healthy.
That you're just all rosy and glowy.
Yeah, right.
Before we dive in, I'm going to do a little quick commercial.
Okay.
Some of you might know that I do a monthly interview, question and answer with Max Lowen, who is a survivor of satanic ritual abuse. And boy, that gal really knows how this planet operates. We did a interview yesterday. It's listed over in the chat. It's on my channel at Journey to the New Earth. If you have any interest in that area or what she might know as a result of her experiences throughout Europe, particularly in the Vatican, it's really, really worth a watch because this gal really brings the truth. So just wanted to mention that real quick.
Very good. Yeah, she has had some experiences. We'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, and Penny, I'm sure you know that she remembers before incarnating that she was in a conversation and she said, "I'll go."
Yeah,
so she remembers that. Yeah,
there are quite a few people here that came just to help. They're here. They might have, like me, said, "Wow, what was I thinking?" That kind of thing. But I'm so grateful for their presence and their sturdiness in the face of all the goofy stuff happening, holding space for something beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
is there a place you'd like to start tonight, Penny, or shall I kind of go over the questions you sent over and pose my big question to you before we dive into each one of those?
No, go ahead. I didn't have a preference. I just thought all of these topics might be worth talking about.
Yeah. Penny sent over some questions, and I went through and highlighted 4 of them, and I'm going to read them. And the reason I'm going to read them is I have an overarching question that encompasses all of them. So one of the first ones she sent was, since it's almost impossible to get real news or the truth about what is happening, what are our options? That's the first question of 4.
Okay.
Number 2, is Trump trying to destroy Israel? Good question. Number 3, is Donald Trump we see a fake? If he is not the real Trump, why is his family going along with the charade?
Yeah.
And then the last question, I won't read all of it, but I'll read part of it. And this is from Penny's point of view. The more I watch what is happening in Trump's cabinet, the more I see signs that the people he picked for his cabinet might have been picked for reasons other than we all thought. And the inference of the question is that perhaps he picked them because in order to kind of out them.
Yeah.
To out them and turn them and find out what they know. And I think there's some wisdom there. So I would like to dive into all of these, Penny, but the overarching question I have for you, and this has really been on my mind lately, and maybe those of you watching, it's on your mind too, is that I'm pulling up the comments here real quick. Here's my question.
Okay.
As a collective here on planet Earth, it is very confusing to me why the people on this planet are so unaware of what we have no knowledge of what the real truth is.
Yeah.
There's lies upon lies upon lies. I think Trump is lying and gaslighting a lot. For what purpose, I don't know. The media is lying and gaslight. Everyone is lying, and I don't trust anyone anymore.
Yeah.
I just don't. So my question for you, because you have a broader perspective and an understanding of how other collectives work and how they say they successfully manage themselves, how on earth can a collective mature if we don't even know what's going on our own planet? And we have nowhere to put our intention. We have nowhere to put our ideas. We're just completely clueless. And even though someone somewhere can come out and say an explanation to something, I don't think it's the real reason. I still think it's being hidden. So, how do we mature and grow and become a cohesive unit if we don't even know what the truth is?
Okay, that's a good question. So let me talk about worlds, okay? And I just this afternoon, I was doing some other things and stopped to think about worlds and got some more information. So I have it's a fresh perspective even. But what to make a world, so this started when I decided I needed to go and visit the new Earth, and see what else I could learn or understand, etc. And there's so few people there that I ended up standing there thinking, how do we get more people? How's this ever going to be a world? And what I understood as soon as I asked that question, because information comes quickly, if you can get yourself together well enough to ask a clear question. And the answer was, you hold the world, you're in your own world, and it holds a frequency. Other people who have done work or have matured their consciousness or have been in a world that they learned some things from and have shifted their own frequency to match yours can come here. They will come here, and what happens to make a world is people of like frequency. You know how we're always talking about like minds? It's people of like frequency who gradually come together. It takes a long, long time to make a world. And people have to people it. That sounds kind of redundant, but that's the case. And if nobody comes, it's sort of the people that are in that world. I think I'm frozen. So, okay. Can you hear me?
You know, you're a little jagged, but I
Okay.
can still hear you. Yeah.
I see you blink. Okay. Yeah, the windstorm is still going like fierce. And so anyway, so that's how a world forms. And as I stood there and that answer was coming, I was like, but what? But what if, all this stuff, all these questions. And they said, it's very simple. You're trying to make it complicated. It's a world, when people gather, they make the world. It doesn't pre-exist unless a few people with similar frequencies create a space, create an area, a region, and other people are attracted to that. And I said, but I've been to so many worlds. It can't possibly work that way. And the answer was, yes, it can, and it does. And there's more worlds than you can even imagine. And so I've been chewing on that for the last few weeks. And I wrote it all up because it was like, oh my, okay, this is a different perception of how a world forms. So now to go back to your question, the question is, if everything is so confusing and nobody has any knowledge of what's really happening, how do we ever get to this point where we are one mind where we're kind of cohesive. We don't.
Yeah.
We don't. And that leads, it finally, what sunk in is that this world that we are in, look at the diversity here. If you're living in Saudi Arabia, whether you're male or female, you have a very different experience from what you would have living in West Michigan or even Louisiana or, Baja California. It doesn't matter. Every place, this particular world is a three-dimensional world where everybody is in their own world. And they're here because they are working with a set of frequencies that are part of three-dimensional worlds. And this is a world where people come, have experience, have a core change in preparation for going to some other world. And the whole thing just strikes me often as it's not steady. It's not solid. And over again, what I run into is, that's right. It's not. It's what you make it. It's what you make of it. It's what you do in that world or don't do, etc. And when you leave here, you take your consciousness and whatever frame of mind you're in at the time of death with you. If you end up in a place where you have to sort some things out, it may take a little while before you get to a place where you can say, okay, I'm ready for this. I'm looking for that kind of a world, or this kind of world, or whatever. It's so much more open. And one of the things that is happening here is that we have all these rulers, I guess I'll call it, presidents, prime ministers, lawyers, judges, etc., police. They form a sort of a set within a set of limits and boundaries that we all move around within. And we follow the rules, we follow the laws until we don't, or until we evolve past them, at which point you go along, but you still keep working to evolve your consciousness further. And so it's not a simple thing. This world here isn't designed to come together. It's designed to allow experiences that wake up some people. And you'll hear the term harvest. There's a harvest time for each level of consciousness. But it's only when you leave here that you are ready. That's your harvest. You will harvest whatever you created, you take it with you. So the harvest that you hear about often is not very realistic, okay? But you harvest all your thoughts, all of your attitudes, all of your good deeds, and all of your bad, and that makes you ready for any other world that you want to move into. And some worlds are wonderful, and some are not so wonderful. When I was doing all kinds of world research with Robert Monroe, and we were talking back and forth about how could it possibly be that way? Where's the religion? Where's the judges and the lawyers? Where are all the things that hold us? And eventually, in maturing, what you realize is you're trying to learn to hold yourself together. You're trying to learn to recognize yourself. You're trying to become self-sustainable. That's what it's all about. And so I'm past the idea that we're going to come together as a whole world for at least another 200-300 years, at least. And even then, it's not going to be the way people imagine it. When you go into the future, and you see the kind of world they have, it's how do I say? The similarity in the people is that the big focus for almost every individual is no longer, growing up, going to college, getting a job, having a family, getting married, having a family, and living the good life. It's development of the self. it's self-development. And there are all kinds of technologies, tools, amazing kinds of equipment that they have, and that's only 400 years in the future. But we're in a place where we have a transition going on, and the people who can make it through that transition will move into 4D and 5D level consciousness. They'll still be here until they leave here, but they can be here in 4D or 5D, and you practice that consciousness. So the idea of, the grief over all the clueless people, I feel that. I see that. I'm like, but so many they don't get it. There's still some time, before we get into some pretty serious stuff. I don't know how much time, but there's a little bit of time. And a lot of people are not going to get it, but that's their level. That's where they're at. And so you treat them with honor, you treat them with compassion, you treat them with honesty. You don't lie and you don't manipulate and you don't do all that stuff trying to get them to be more like you think they should be. That doesn't fly. What you realize, and then this is kind of hard as you mature spiritually, is that every person has to do it for themselves. You can maybe drop a nickel in the slot here and there, and they'll kind of, oh, I didn't think about that. But that's really how it works. And so as we move toward the new world, only the people that are interested in that new world are going to go there, not everybody. And this place will come apart, regroup. Once it comes apart, if there's enough of us still here on this planet, we can build a whole different kind of set of systems. And that'll operate at a higher dimensional level. That will change everything. The earth herself is changing. So I was talking in the class I was teaching this weekend, organic gardening. I had seen a piece of a video that I can't remember, I think it was Google, had taken all of the crop circles, every single crop circle, there's like 12,000 of them over the past however many years. And they had AI analyze those crop circles. What can you tell us about these crop circles? And so the information that came out of that was absolutely fascinating. And for me, it was like, yes, yes, I was right. The earth is trying to evolve itself at the same time we are. And that's the splitting that Dolores Cannon talked about. So what the AI discovered, what they told the researchers, and the people at Google just did this on their own. That wasn't a paid project or anything. What they said was Google's first analysis was the early crop circles were just circles and rings. And then I think it was after 1990, they started to get more complex. And in the 30-year, well, it's been 26 years since then, 36 years, 90, yeah. They have gotten so complex that the crop circles that they're getting now they display principles of plasma physics, quantum mechanics, all kinds of stuff. And I listened to that. It's kind of a bad description, but it was a very good video. Google AI analyzes crop circles or something like that, if you want to look it up. What I realized as soon as I heard them talking is that, oh my God, they have just put out proof that the earth herself is advancing her own consciousness in terms of what is the level of science and the understanding of science that we have. So I can see I'm looking a little frozen or a little pixely, but I'll keep going. So that that whole issue of the earth changing and beginning to pick up the principles of quantum mechanics and physics, plasma physics, and all kinds of messages about other people in the universe and different kinds of energetic platforms and all of that. It's like, wow, okay. So we are moving, all of us are having the opportunity to move ahead, but not everybody is going to go. Not everybody's going to reach that. So does that answer the overarching question?
It does in a way. I just want to ask maybe one or two clarifying questions. So it sounds like to me that Earth is more like an obstacle course, not a destination.
Yeah, very good. I like that. It's a wonderful destination for growing yourself, for developing. And it offers every kind of experience. Every corner of the world has a different kind of experience. If you want to live on the water, you go somewhere over in Southeast Asia. If you want to live in the mountains, you can go to Tibet. If there's all kinds of experiences that challenge, and we develop in the face of those challenges.
So that brings up a point that I keep seeing around me. Mm-hmm. And that is that there will be an injustice or a lie or a control structure or something come down the pike. And I'll look at that, and first of all, it generally kind of makes me mad. And then I think, well, that's a lesson humanity needs to learn. So let's see what happens with that. And right. I'll give an example. Every move that is made by what I would call the controllers or whoever seems to be in a position of power whether we think they're working in our favor or not, that's not the issue. But when they'll do something that I am not in agreement with, or I feel like that's not workable for humanity, what I see behind it is that is pushing humanity to push back on it and learn the lesson about it and start learning to say no, or we're not going to do that, or solve the problem ourselves.
Yep. Yeah. If we don't stand up, don't push back, if you don't make it known, if you don't at least admit to yourself what you think and what you want and what you believe and what you're going to go along with, then you're just going to get swept away with the tide, wherever that tide is going. And the goal is to learn to become a really good creator.
Yeah.
And people are afraid of their own power. And it does take a while to get used to that.
Yeah.
But I think it's a worthwhile challenge. So,
and I want to take that word, really good creator, because I've been noticing something at Penny, and I don't know if you have either, but I've noticed it in you too, as well as other people. What I am seeing around in the world when I get outside of politics or that whole yuck arena is an absolute explosion of extraordinary, breathtaking creativity.
Yeah.
I mean, people are just coming up with oh my God, and people in the far reaches, not even near a city, are coming up with these most creative things. It's stunning. And then I see you, and you said, I don't know, but recently you said, all I want to do is write. I just want to write. Yeah. That's your creative outlet. Yeah. And I see people, I mean, it's just extraordinary what's rising up.
I know. And there's a whole crop of younger people that are getting it. They're going to carry that forward. If it isn't complete by the time we leave here, who knows? So there's really, there's people that are listening, they're watching, they're reaching, they are thinking, they are trying things. It doesn't matter whether you're talking about energy systems or financial systems or medical and healing systems, education. It's like, oh, wow, I love the creativity that I see. People are saying, let's try this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to offer this. And they do. And then they shock themselves. It's like, oh, it worked. Oh dear, I wasn't ready. And so then they're kind of like scrambling and tripping over themselves, which is fine. I mean, that's a good experience. But yeah, you have to be willing to get beyond what I'm going to say, the everyday limitations and move into something that is really where your heart is at and where your gut is just driving you. And you just never can do enough of that. You eat, sleep, drink, whatever. The guy, Michael Markham, I think is his name, who figured out how to, it was kind of a sloppy figuring out, but he put himself 60 years in the future and was gone for like 20 years and came back, an older, wiser man. And I don't know what has happened to him, but that's a kid who was fascinated by this idea right from the beginning. And he figured it out in his garage, scared the crap out of himself and everybody around him. But that's how we move ahead. That's how we learn. Somebody says, I'm interested in this. So that's where they focus.
Yeah. All right. So let's hop into some of these questions now because they're good.
Okay.
The first on the list, and this I kind of wanted, I don't know enough about this, but I have a feeling you do. What does it mean that the government is still under a partial shutdown? I didn't know that. No DHS, no Department of Homeland Security. So where are you going with that direction?
So when we had the government was shut down, I think somewhere in the middle of February, part of it came back up. They got a partial, what do you call it, budget or agreement. They have a special name for, we'll give you a little bit of money to keep going for a little bit of time. I forget what that's called. So in mid-February, they said, we'll fund everything, but they could not agree because of all the uproar happening with ICE and immigration, all of that. They said, we're not going to fund the Department of Homeland Security. And so, and some parks, a few parks and things stayed shut down. The government continued on normally. Okay, mostly normally. So I'm watching this, and I forget how many days in we're at now. 2 months, over 2 months, and we still can't get an agreement. The Republicans and the Democrats are like, Democrats absolutely refuse to allow to grant any more funding unless the U.S. stops its Department of Homeland Security operations. So what I see is, OMG, this is what the little men in brown robes showed me way back in 1980, 81, was that the government shuts down a piece of it. It shuts down. It mostly comes back, but some pieces don't. And then later there's another shutdown. And it partly comes back, but some more pieces don't. And little by little by little, the government shrinks until it is like a charity office located on the eastern end of North America. And that's about it. That was when I recognized that the Department of Homeland Security and national parks and a few other things were closed, not operational. It's like, oh, wow, it has begun. And it takes a while. It takes probably 10, 20 years for those, shut down, partial, restart. Oh, that's not working anymore. They just keep shutting off a piece of it. And that, I think, is part of Donald Trump's plan to make a smaller government. He has been calling for smaller government right from the beginning. So he has I think I'll just say at the intuitive level, watching what's happened to the Department of Homeland Security. First, Kristi Noem gets booted. And then, I think he went around her with some other funding to get a few Border Patrol people still on the job, and some funding, different funding for the FBI, special funding for a piece of the FBI. So that's all. There's no verification for that. It's just stuff that I've seen and thought, oh, okay. So we are seeing, I think, the first stage of smaller government in a nutshell. That's what it looks like it's going to become.
Yeah. When the auditing all comes in, we're going to just shake our head.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Number 2 is a big one.
Okay. All right.
Since it's almost impossible, it is impossible to get real news or the truth about what is happening. What are our options?
There's really only one good one, as far as I can see. That is decide for yourself. Watch for yourself. You have to read a lot of crap and listen to a lot of crap and watch a lot. And then you synthesize based on how you see the world. And it forces people to develop their own worldview instead of being spoon-fed like a baby bird, and which is, that spoon feeding is propaganda, most of it. Yeah. So everybody's being forced to look at what's happening, make their own decision. The more well-informed, the broader the array of BS that you watch and listen. There's always a little bit of truth in all of that. And that sort of, it's like cream, kind of rises to the top. And little by little, you start to see evidence. Oh, this guy said this, and I thought that was crazy, but there was a piece in there that said that, and there I see it happen. So that's pretty much how we're being we're being force-fed to think for ourselves and develop our own ideas.
Yeah, I can see that, definitely.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's uncomfortable, definitely uncomfortable. Yeah. And probably it's uncomfortable because we've been conditioned to, decades ago, I think it fell away a few decades ago, but long ago we were conditioned to watch the news and believe that's what's going on.
That's right. That is exactly right. And what the missing piece that we're still going to have to confront is everybody. Now we've got this world where everybody's got their own idea and they're sure they're right. And they think everybody else is nuts or crazy and they want to argue or fight. That is what the next step is learning how do you live with a population of people who all have their own ideas about the world that they're in. And that really that's one of the, like your obstacle course idea. That's one of the obstacles that we will have to face. How do you make a world work when everybody's got a different idea of how it should work, how it is working, how it's not working, and so on and so forth. So you learn to be graceful. You learn to listen. You learn to think like, that doesn't match what I think, but let me think about that. And you find a way to balance with all those other worlds. So we're coming to that. We're not there yet. But if we don't come to that level of cooperation, we're all going to die. Let me be blunt. We're going to have to cooperate in order to survive. So that's when the next obstacle comes up. So
I do think that at the base of most of humanity is a kind-hearted sense of cooperation.
Yes, people are so wonderful, and all it takes is a smile sometimes, a kind word, here, let me help you. That's all it takes, and the cooperation begins. It's so easy. And for people who absolutely insist on having their own way, Yeah, go ahead and have your own way. You'd probably be all by yourself. So,
Yeah, go over there and have your own way.
yeah, good luck.
Okay, so number 3, this is one of those areas where I thought this was an opportunity for people to grow up. So
Yeah,
number 3, these are the questions again that Penny sent over.
yeah,
A number of countries are working together to organize their relationships and shipping through the Strait of Hormuz.
yep.
The US and Israel have deliberately been left out. We cannot get goods delivered because anything going to the US is not allowed to pass. What will happen to our economy and ability to get the things we need to maintain modern life? So I just want to make a comment because I'm sure somebody else watching had the same thought when this happened.
Mm,
When Trump said, listen, Europe, you guys need to figure it out. We're not going to be
yeah,
your daddy anymore. We're not going to be patrolling these waters and,
yep.
spoon feeding everybody this supply chain, this supply system. And
Right.
I thought, I actually liked that. It's like, come on, people, stand up, take care of
Yeah,
yourself. It's in a broader way, stand up, take care of yourself is kind of what I perceive the journey on this planet to be.
yeah.
I think all the time, get yourself in a pile. I feel really strong in my pile. My pile is all piled.
Okay, very good.
So I
Mhm.
actually like that. I
Yeah,
believe in a spirit of cooperation between countries, but I also think that a healthy self-reliance, whether it's a person, a community, a town, a city, a state, a nation, I
yep.
think self-reliance is something that we could all benefit from.
I agree. Oh my. I think if we don't come together, we're kind of doomed. I don't want to spread the idea of doom because I think the reality that we're in, if we transcend that, there will still be people who are living in the old reality. That's just the way worlds form and gradually become. But the if there are, I think there's like almost 60 countries now that have come together. They're almost all, well, they're all over the place at this point, but a lot of them are in Europe, Africa, Asia, and they have said we're gonna protect, or we're gonna do something with the strait. But they, in the agreement that the meeting that they had, they left out, they did not invite the US or Israel. And what I see when I look at that is that the world is being very carefully divided into 3 areas: the Far East, the Middle East, and the Far West. The Americas are the Far West. If we get left out of that, that whole system, then I see a couple things that that we'll say Trump or somebody is wanting to do. Number one, if we can't get any goods from through the strait, and we can't get any goods from China, they could go across the Pacific, but if there's less goodies coming in, China's economy really suffers. And China's having a hard time right now. They are on the edge of revolution every other day. And I don't know if they're going to make it or not. But that there's several goals that in China, pulling the rug out from under China is one. China's economy is faltering badly. Their workers are leaving because there's no jobs. So seems to be working against China, which is very sad, I think. So then what about us? We're left over here, North America, Central America, South America. We're on our own. What does that force us to do? Forces us to become self-sufficient, to develop our agriculture, our economy, our finance, our agreements, all differently. in a whole different configuration that leaves out the rest of the world for the time being. And Europe, Africa is doing that same thing, working together, saying, okay, we need to survive. They're all worried about Russia. I'm like, what are they worried about Russia for? That's just, made up propaganda. So, so we have these three regions of the world that are going to be forced into some kind of their own idea of their own economy, their own version of agriculture and culture, their own military. And those three regions are a step toward eventually what we'll have is like not really a one world government, but one world where all the governments are entirely cooperative. And that's down the road quite a ways. But you can't have that when you got 194, 204 nations and everybody's fighting. So it's a step toward coming together as a planet, but not in a way that is forced and that takes into account, that allows for the evolution of the consciousnesses, the cultures, the way they do business, the way every region does its money, it's everything. So it's not a bad thing, but it could be a little challenging in the beginning, because if we're left out and we don't get our supplies, that's when the test of cooperation comes. Are we going to work together? Are we going to grow food? Are we going to produce what we need? Are we going to figure it out? Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we're more than capable of doing that.
We are.
It's just, for me, looking at the world right now, it is the value lost of the incredible creativity of the human, because we're so busy pushing back against this control system, or trying to work within a very controlled, narrow lane instead of being creative.
Yeah.
And that, to me, it's the lost creativity that is so sad for me, because I feel like we have so much ability.
We do.
That this world could be extraordinary, but I guess that's not the point.
Well, right now everything is breaking down. Just look at the corporation. What do those big corporations do? I'll never forget the Robe saying, you only learned one thing from those big corporations, and that was how to work together to get stuff done globally or internationally. And I was like, oh, well, of course. So now you have these big corporations, all these layers of people passing paper back and forth and, making deals and trying to find what they need to build, what they want to build. And what we're seeing is that AI is coming along, and it's just going to gut that entire pyramid. And so the top of the pyramid is going to be sitting on the ground, and AI is going to do all that analysis and looking at who's got what and where's the best price, instead of needing thousands of workers to figure all that out. So when the big corporations have been gutted, that's when the creativity is going to take off, and people will invent, design, develop, build a whole new world
out of their garage.
Yep. Right. And then share it locally.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if we keep our communication going, yes, that's how it will happen.
Yeah. And I think about this a lot. I think that if we are ever going to move in the direction of a collective that works well together, we have got to change the laws around corporations.
Yeah.
Because there's no ass to kick. There's no one to string up.
That's right.
I'm in favor of making the CEO 100% liable, personally liable, for all the actions of his corporation. And by golly, things would change pretty darn quickly in my
Yes,
book.
they would. One
Yeah.
of the big lessons, one of the biggest lessons of our time is the lesson around CEOs who make millions and millions of dollars while their workers make a few dollars at the bottom. That is the big lesson. Is that how you guys want to do things? We have to face that question. Nobody ever asks it, and we have to answer. Is that how we want our world to be? And when they have started to gut the pyramids of the hierarchies, and the big corporations have just a handful of people, all those people that are left dangling have to stop and think, okay, I helped feed that thing at the top. What am I going to do now? How do we fix this? There's a whole different way coming.
And that goes back to that whole thing of, in my opinion, that's a lesson that needs to be learned.
Yep.
Right. I'll just get a job in this corporation. I'll sit in my little desk in the back of the third floor, and I won't have to think much, and I get to take my lunch. And, it's like, well, okay, you don't like it. It's not fulfilling you. You're not expressing yourself in a big way. So let's see how that works out for you.
It really doesn't. If you're sitting all day, and it's all about money, there's the whole rest of the soul of the self does not develop.
Exactly.
Money doesn't feed the soul. It can feed the feeling of, okay, I'm secure because we use money to buy things we need. But why have we given corporations all of the water and all of the food and all of the medicine and all of the say-so? So lots of things will be changing, and there's probably going to be some big disruptions over the next 5 years. So, yeah.
People are either going to step into their creativity or not.
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is very political here.
Okay.
Is Trump trying to destroy Israel? I just wanted to say a caveat right here. Since last month.
Okay.
And I think you and I watched the same video from Rich Does Politics, where the guy explained the whole method behind the chaos.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And to me, it's just an elaborate version of the pump and dump.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. So, it's like they massaged, or they found out where the sentiment on the planet is, and you make bets, financial bets based on that sentiment because you can see it. It's just a large language model and using that for your benefit. So I went down the rabbit hole of, I have watched both sides of the equation. Trump's saving the world. Trump's the devil incarnate. Trump is, the galactic prince of the hour, and Trump is pure evil. I've watched it all.
The Antichrist.
That's a big role right there.
Yeah, right.
And to be honest with you, Penny, I can see both sides. And I still am, it's like I have no idea. Going back to number 2, it's impossible to get the truth. And I don't feel like, regardless of what position you're holding or what you're watching, I don't think we're getting the truth about anything. And I also think that they're just fighting each other at this point. We're just along for the ride.
I think that's true. And I don't think we're going to get the truth maybe for a long time, if ever. Some of us will not even accept that truth because there's so much distrust. Not myself. When I say some of us, I mean some of the people. They are so angry. They don't believe anything anymore. They just don't trust at all. Yeah. But as for whether or not Trump is trying to destroy Israel, whether he's trying to or not, that's what's happening. I'm like, okay, how about we stop listening to the rhetoric and look at what's the result? And the result has not been too good for Israel, even though they have said, no, you can't have any news coming out of Israel. There's stuff that has sneaked out. And, there's a lot of destruction. Oh, my. And I've done the same thing, listening to Iran talk about we're winning and blah, blah, blah. And then listen to the US say, we destroyed this, and they're crying about that, and they're fighting their leaders. I'm like, okay, I've gotten to the point where it's like, well, today I'm in the mood for Trump. Tomorrow I'm in the mood for Iran. Well, it's like, okay, now I have to go feed the chickens. Let's do something real. And now I have to fix dinner. I'm not going to think about them. I'm not going to worry about them. I'm just going to wait until they're out of the way. And that has been more and more my attitude, because there's nothing that we can do at this point. Manipulate our money a little bit. What we buy or don't buy makes a big difference. Whether we use cash or not still makes some difference. But beyond that, I'm like, okay, life is good. I'm going to enjoy my people, my animals, my plants, my farm, and and my writing, and all my students. I love all of it. It's great. It's like, wow, those guys in Washington, they're having a rough time. So it's something that it's almost become like self-preservation. And I heard somebody the other day say, I think it's war fatigue. And I thought, I just wrote a piece about war fatigue and put it out there. For me, I've been watching this coming and holding this for 45 years. Yeah. And at this point, it's like, okay, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's no point in worrying about it or in trying to figure out anything. I think it's being figured out all by itself, and we're going to be able to sit back and just say, oh, this is what I see. What I see is, wow, Israel's getting destroyed. But so is the U.S., the old version of the U.S.
Yes.
Keeping my eye on what I hear and see people say and talking about the future. That to me is like, that's where I'm going. So, yeah.
Good point. Thank you. Number 5, is the Donald Trump we see fake? If he's not the real Trump, why is his family going along with the charade? That's an interesting question. And I go back and forth on the whole clone thing. Yeah. And it's like, I know that the technology that some areas of our government have is so far beyond. I look around at what our roads and our car, and I think this is like archaic.
I know.
what we're using, and what is available is so extraordinary.
Right.
But I don't know. I know that, I talk with Max all the time. I know that they're growing people. Yeah. And buds.
That's true.
Why did that question come up for you? That is he fake?
I read God, what's his name? Benjamin Fulford. Every so often I read Benjamin Fulford. Lots of times I just think, what planet are you on? But then there's maybe people who listen to me and say the same thing. I don't know. But he keeps insisting. He's been insisting for a while now, or at least the times I have read him. Trump, the Trump we see is fake. It's not the real Trump. And I'm like, okay, why is his family going along with a fake? Is it, are they being blackmailed? Are they being offered something? Did somebody spirit the real Donald Trump away and say, we'll have him, or we have him, and we'll give him back if you go along with this charade? I don't know. But it just drives me crazy that people are saying it's Trump, or it's a mask. He's just a masked character. Or and one of the other things Fulford says is that Trump, I forget, the real Trump is 6'3", I guess. There's only been one time that I have watched a video, seen Trump sitting at a table, and it looked like he was a little kid. The table looked like it came up to here, and there's this little guy sticking up, and I'm like, that is not Donald Trump. And it didn't quite look like him either. And so maybe, for state dinners and, stuff like that, he might have somebody else stand in for him, but they should at least get somebody who's close to his height. So, anyway, Fulford says he's 6'3", and this guy is only 5'10", and Trump is shorter than him. And look at the two of them standing next to one another. Trump is shorter. There's no way. And I think, well, I don't know. People shrink when they get older. They lose an inch or two. Maybe he shrunk. Who knows? But that whole question of is he fake is really a question that for me brings up who's playing who's playing what. We cannot continue to allow the government to present us with somebody who's fake. That just it doesn't matter whether it's true or not. The thing that I think we, the people, need to insist on is no more masks and no more clones and no more fakes and no more lookalikes or no more stand-ins. How can we trust that the electing anybody is worth electing if somebody else is going to come along and put on a mask and pretend? We can't. It's just, there's no point in having an election. We do not have a republic if we've got clones running things or masked men running around pretending to be the president. It's like, guys, let's wake up to what this indicates. We have to move beyond the system that we had. Yes, we had a republic. It is having difficulty. What's next?
Yeah. And I think it's been a long time since we've had a real republic. If we ever did.
Yeah. Well, I think we did in the beginning. Yeah. So
well, the question that I think for me, the most obvious thing about is that really Trump is something that we see every day, but we don't recognize it. And that is Trump is what, 80?
82.
Look at his energy
80,
level.
80, you're right. I think he's going to be 81. No, in June 19th is his birthday, I think.
There's no 82-year-old I know that has that energy level. They're taking a nap every day. People always say, I can't believe the energy of that guy. Well, maybe it's not really that guy, or maybe there's a whole bunch of guys playing, So it's so obvious to me that something is not.
That crossed my mind.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer for that, but I have thought, where's he getting his energy from? So,
and it's high pressure stuff all the time. It's like, okay, I can clean house and putter in the garden and make dinner and this and that, but talking in front of the world all day, every day, and to state leaders, that is a trying experience.
It is. Even if it's going well, it's still a huge stress. Mm-hmm. Because you have to be on, whether you feel like it or not. And that's a test right there.
Yeah.
So, I have wondered if he was high on drugs a couple of times, but, he seems to keep going.
Or maybe he's high on peptides.
That could be. I wouldn't doubt it.
Okay. Okay, so this one is interesting. I did not follow this gentleman at all. I mean, I knew who he was, but I was not in any way involved in his teachings. Does the suicide of David Wilcock take anything away from the spiritual or metaphysical teachings? What is death and what is on the other side? I just felt like he just got sad. It felt like it was at the end.
I think in terms of death, we have problems with death. We don't understand what it is. Lots and lots of people don't appreciate life. The people who commit suicide are often considered to be tragic, or they're losers, or they're this or they're that. I have a different point of view about suicide. Once you've been to other worlds, once you've been out of the body, and you realize, and you cannot help, there's no getting around this fact. Once you're out of the body and you have your full consciousness and your full sense of self, what do you need that body for? You just need it to signal to other bodies on this planet that you're here, because they're very good at identifying and working with disembodied voices, spirits, or consciousnesses.
Well,
So
you're part of the game when you're in the body. You're on the playing field, more or less.
that's right. That's right. And people can see you, they can hear you, they identify you in a minute. But once you learn to get out of the body or to connect with the other side, and you realize, wow, there's no such thing as death. There is the death of the body here, but the individual keeps going. Once you realize that, then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what's all that hullabaloo about suicide and going to hell that the church teaches? It's courage. It's propaganda. It's designed to control you. Why? Because the church needed bodies. They needed subscribers. They needed people to come to the church and donate to the church and listen to the priest and follow, whatever they were preaching. So we have a very say undeveloped idea of what death is. We have a very tragic view of what suicide is. The people who are left behind, who loved the person who committed suicide, they hurt. They realize, wow, it must have been really bad for him or her to take themselves out. But then I look at the bigger population. I think in the look-see, the last look-see is the one where I talked about you have to have 2.1 live births to maintain a population. Why is the population, and you have to have, if you get below 1.9 live births, it's almost impossible to turn that around. You cannot, you're just going to keep falling, and the population is going to die out. Now, there may be other people that are reproducing heavily, and they might make up for that, but all of the countries of the West, all of the countries of the world, except for maybe the Islamic countries, their populations are below replacement rate. That says right there, we have a huge, I'm going to say, it's not technically suicide, but why are people not reproducing? Remember a couple of years ago, I talked about the Australian people from the outback announcing that they were going to stop reproducing completely and let themselves die out because things were so bad here, the Aborigine people. There was a group that had kept the Aboriginal presence going, and they just announced, we're done, we're quitting, we're not going to come back here. As each one dies out, we're not going to replace ourselves. And I thought, wow, how bad does it have to be for a group to come together and announce to the world that they're leaving? Nobody paid any attention. That was the other sad part. Nobody's paying any attention to the fact that Russia is at 1.4. Some of the countries, oh my God, they're at, like Japan is 1.1. That's way too low to survive. And so we're headed toward a big die-off. And that is, in my view, a form of suicide. You're taking yourself off the planet. You're removing options for bodies, for other consciousnesses to take up residence in a body because you're just not reproducing bodies. That leads to the survivors who are a high consciousness level, if they develop and they develop their technology, that's why a lot of the populations of people that move among the stars are 10,000, 20,000 people. Sometimes a little more, sometimes a little less. Depends on whether they're connected to a planet or whether they've cut all of their ties to a planet.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I'm looking at that whole thing with David. Let's talk about he was a metaphysical teacher. He was a spiritual teacher. He was a good teacher. He was brilliant. And he was highly disturbed. So, and I was wondering, actually, he had diabetes. I wondered if he was on one of the drugs for diabetics that they make a lot of those drugs make you suicidal. The drugs like even Ozempic and things like that, it's what's turning out is all kinds of bad stuff, including suicidal tendencies to be enhanced. And all of those GLP-1 drugs, that's GLP glucagon like peptide 1, that's where the GLP comes from, glucagon like peptide 1 drugs. They have some really, really nasty side effects. And I forget, there's like 20 million people on those drugs now. It's like, serious, serious stuff. And they were being used for people on diabetic diets and stuff originally. And that's, there weren't enough people on it, I guess, to be able to reveal what the side effects, the nasty side effects were. But now that there's 20 million, it's like, whoa, okay, there's stuff, there's lawsuits all over the place, thousands of lawsuits being started.
Well, it sounds like the scamdemic 2.0, it's another way to take a whole bunch of people out.
That is true. I think, that if you don't correct the food system and you don't teach people how to eat well and you don't make time for them to cook and grow what they need, then you need drugs, and drugs have terrible side effects. So the metaphysical part, I think that's going to stand. David's work stands. He took himself out. I think he was fully aware of what he was doing. Although at first I wasn't sure, because when he got on the other side, the shock of what he did, he was like, oh my God. And he was all hunched over. But leading right up to that, he was apologizing to the cops about, I'm sorry, I have to put you guys through this. This is something I have to do. It's like, okay. So, that's somebody who's pretty coherent. And what can we say about Canada offering to euthanize anybody who wants to leave?
It's now their number one cause of death in Canada.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's what RFK Jr. said in a Senate hearing.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're at a point where I think the way we leave is going to matter less and less. And what will matter deeply is what was the legacy. The legacy isn't how you left here. It's, your writing or your videos or your garden or your family or whatever. It's what you left behind.
Yeah. I was thinking about this the other day, and to be honest with you, Penny, I'm stunned that as many souls, that billions of souls agreed to come here, because this is not an easy place.
No.
This is not a picnic. And the more, at least from my perspective, the more you learn about the systems and the history of this planet, it's harsh. I mean, it is.
Yes, it is
Harsh.
A three-dimensional system, any three-dimensional system they're pretty rough. It feels like prison. You hear people say it's a prison planet. No, it's really not. But once you get in the system, you have to evolve to get out. And it is rough. It's very challenging. Remember me saying all those times, I can't believe there's 8 billion people here. What were they thinking?
They should interview people before they come.
They should. Yes, they should. Oh my, and get the real lowdown.
Yeah, I mean, it's I've been watching a lot of, I'm so tired of listening to people talk about politics, and I'm just like, I did it and now I'm over it.
Yeah.
But I've been watching a lot of deep dives into different countries around the planet.
Oh.
Like how they were formed, what's the history, what's the power, and it's just ugly everywhere.
Well, it's not that bad, but it's
it is.
Okay. Yeah, I've been doing the same thing. So the last week or so, I was really looking at Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan is, I think their average annual temperature, I'm going to say it's minus 22 degrees. I can't remember if that's Fahrenheit or minus 8 degrees. And my thinking was, it's the coldest. It's one of their capital city is the coldest capital city in the world. And I was thinking, why would anybody go there? Why? How do they live? The whole center of Kazakhstan is desert. They've got some rivers. They've got a few pockets, beautiful pockets. Their capital city has like 1.3 million or 1.5 million or something like that. It's like, oh, I didn't think they had that many in the whole country. But they're very, very modern. I just don't know about that temperature. It's like, holy cow. And they've changed the name of that city, I think 4 times in the last 60 years, maybe 80 years. I'm like, oh, okay, what's up with that? So whoever's running Kazakhstan is really doing a beautiful job. They are incredibly advanced, very beautiful cities. I think outdoing even China. So, but yeah, this is a rough place. We try to make it comfortable for ourselves. Can you blame us? Because it's rough. You can't really complain.
It's rough, and it feels like, even though, my life is pleasant, your life is pleasant.
Yeah.
A lot of our lives are pleasant.
Right.
There's not marauders with spears outside our front door.
Right.
The tension to me is high. Like it just feels kind of like,
yeah,
tense.
It is. It is. There's a certain level of tension that you will have throughout your whole life. And I've talked about it before, but just as a reminder, that's existential anger. There's a deep level of tension, anger that people feel when they get here because it is so tough here.
And it's wildly unfair. And I know unfair is a kind of a wishy-washy word, but
no, it's not. It's accurate.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. It just seems like, it's extremely frustrating. And there's a few things in the media right now. For instance, that soldier who bet on his team through Polymarket that they were going to get in and out and get Maduro and go. And he made like $500,000 or something betting on Polymarket.
Oh, I did see something about that. Yeah.
Yeah. He got arrested for insider trading. Nancy Pelosi is eating Wagyu beef and flying private.
Oh, wow. Wow.
It's like, I look at that and I just think,
oh my.
You guys are asking for the pitchforks.
Yeah, they are.
Okay. And so the other one, and this is in the news too, and maybe you haven't followed this one, but I have.
Mm-hmm.
in 2027, every vehicle sold in the United States has to come out with all this biometric data so that when you sit in the driver's seat, they look at your pupil and decide if you're anxious or capable of driving, whatever.
Oh my God. Okay.
So every new car in the US. Well, my response is, oh, easy fix. Just don't buy one.
Okay.
And when those steaming piles of surveillance end up sitting on the lots of all these car dealerships and rotting on the lot,
Yeah.
and new car sales plummet to down near zero, okay, we got our way. But then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
The car dealers are going to lobby those corporate lapdogs that call themselves their representatives in order to get bailed out.
Yeah, right.
They're going to blame the government and they're going to want to bail out, and we're going to pay for it. So it's like I can see this whole screw you coming down at you. Either you spend $50,000, $60,000 for a prison on wheels,
right?
Or you don't, and you end up paying for it anyway through your taxes.
I know. Oh my. I think they're probably going to have to revise that. They've tried a couple of things like that in the past, and it doesn't fly. Now they have different states may have different rules. California has been dictating how they're going to build cars in California for a long time. But I think that there's going to be some difficulty with fuel, some serious fuel shortages next year. Not very many people are going to be thinking about buying another car because they can't drive the one they got. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, and back to that whole thing of we're looking at the wrong problem. What we need to be looking at is implementing free energy.
It's coming. It's coming. But there's too many things in the way right now, too many old systems in the way. Those have to fall, and that's where the difficulty is. Navigating that is where it's like, oh, okay.
Okay, so here's my cynical attitude about that. Is there any system standing in the way other than corporate profit?
At the present time, I don't think so.
It's all about, from what I can see, I mean, we both talked to the C60 guy.
Oh, yeah.
Ken
Swartz.
Ken Swartz. Yeah. I mean, his explanation is you can put it together. You know, it's open source on the internet. You don't need you don't need to be an electrical engineer to figure it out.
No, you don't. Oh my gosh. I just think that, we just need to be ready to be responsible for ourselves, navigate whatever we see around us. I think it'll be different parts of the country. And that's going to drive some movement, maybe some big movement. We'll see how well we do. But I'm looking at some serious shortages over 2027, 28, 29.
Beyond food.
Food, fuel, medications, even shortages of electricity. So that worries me. It's like, kind of hard to do anything without electricity. We have evolved to a point in our civilization where we are an electric universe all by ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we've been almost an hour and a half.
Oh.
Talking about the world.
Well, okay.
As we move forward, and from what you talked about in the beginning, Penny, as a human, my desire has always been, we got to get this planet straightened out so it's fair and reasonable, and we're humans, and maybe that's not even the goal. Maybe this is just what it is, and we just need to work on ourselves.
Yes, you got it. It's about you come here to develop the self so you can move into some of those worlds that are beautiful and that work well. That's the goal. And developing yourself doesn't mean you have to be a snot to everybody else. Doesn't mean you have to be selfish and thoughtless and all that. Just the opposite. You can't get into those worlds unless you develop yourself and you learn how to be cooperative and supportive and creative and responsible. So yeah, there's a lot to learn.
That's so funny. I haven't heard anybody use the word little snot in a long time.
Oh.
That's a throwback to childhood.
I know. So we used to call each other when we were talking dirty. That was dirty talk.
Being a snot.
Yeah.
Things have changed. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, I think, in closing, what I would say to people is focus on you without letting go of everything. But be choosy about what you focus on and what you pay attention to, and where you put your time, your energy, and your money. That's really going to be a critical skill as we move through the future, into the future. So, well, maybe I should say move through it, which is a more positive, yes, we can move through it without a problem kind of statement. So I think we can.
Well, it'll be interesting.
It definitely will.
Yeah, just try not to be a little snot along the way.
I second that.
All right. Thank you, Penny, so much. And
Okay.
We'll be back next month.
Yeah.
If the earth is still spinning.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, and we were a little bit late this month because my B&B was open and is open, and there were people, there was a whole group here. So we had to move it a week. So yeah, I'm at this place of like, I realized the other day, I built this place. I've been here for, I don't know, 35 years, since 87. And I've never had a chance to enjoy it. And all of a sudden it was like, hey, wait, I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to do what I want with this place. So that's where my mind is at lately. It's like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see you guys next month, a little earlier in the month. Have a wonderful month. Happy Mother's Day in advance. Happy May Day in advance. And all of that good stuff.
Yeah. And happy Mother's Day to you, Penny.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right.
Everyone. Thanks for joining in.